Yo, Agen, I was
Who?
told you have an argument against
The
the
new
papacy.
league champion. Oh, I don't care about that.
I have an argument against the papacy.
Yeah.
Pope Leo contradicts Pope Celestine.
In what manner?
Because
And
Pope
isn't this
Celestine-
like, isn't
Pope
this in
Celestine- Go
sorry,
ahead.
what?
You go
Woman.
ahead.
Oh,
I need
okay,
to
well,
be
I
right
was
back,
just
woman.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, isn't like the proof going to be prior to Chalcedon?
Yeah. Well, technically, it's the contradiction is at Chalcedon, especially in his documents prior to Chalcedon as well. The
Okay,
major
about what?
contradiction is Saint Pope Celestine adheres to the Cyrillian dogma, and Pope Leo contradicts.
Oh my god.
Celestine vetoes it at Ephesus. Pope Leo contradicts the Ephesian co-presiders that are vetoed by Celestine.
Oh wait, can you like qualify what type of like Cyrillian doctrine this is?
An individual substance from two.
Okay. Well, I said I wasn't going to be on Christology, so then there's no point.
Well, Christology is a matter of faith. The Pope of Rome, Leo specifically, I think he's actually one of the earliest pro-papal supremacists, especially how people react.
No, there's much more prior to Chalcedon.
Well, even
So according to you,
regardless,
like all of the right,
this
so all of
argument
the
would
fathers
still
are
work
wrong
to
going to
prove.
come into.
This argument would still prove because the Tome of Leo is said to be infallible, yet it contradicts Ephesus on a matter of faith.
Okay, right. So is this like going to be in reference to two popes contradicting each other, or just like some sort of arbitrary interpretation?
It's not arbitrary. We have Celestine agreeing with Ephesus and the Ephesian co-presiders, and then we have Pope Leo disagreeing with the entire faith.
So what's the justified true belief for your interpretation, Pope Celestine?
Well, it isn't merely like an interpretation that there's contradiction. You have one accepting the dogma of...
Do you apply your rationality to reading a text?
Well, of course, but again,
right,
it's
so then it is an interpretation.
It's very bare minimum something we'd both agree. Would you believe Leo taught one incarnate nature of the Word?
I think that the stuff that Cyril taught is going to be just linguistically interchangeable with what Leo taught.
Then why can't we ever see... because that's okay if it could be demonstrated. Because we have Latin correspondents who would agree with one individual substance from two, but Leo never adheres to that dogma.
Okay, well one sec. Let's just say, like, out of everything, right? I was to grant you that supposedly...
Watch your language. Celestine stamps the Ecumenical Council of Ephesus. So how he interprets it, let's say he like interprets it like super Nestorian. It doesn't matter. The thing that he's stamping is the session itself, all of the minutes that we have preserved today. And between those minutes that are infallibly accepted by Celestine, it contradicts Pope Leo.
Okay, so again, you just explained to me my reduction, and you didn't even show how the denial of my reduction is going to lead to your position. The reduction simply here is that Pope Leo, under like some sort of infallible circumstance, denies or contradicts another acceptance of an infallible document. So according to you, literally the argument you're wagering is that Pope goes against prior council.
Not necessarily, because it's not just a prior document.
So then Agen, then tell me the denial that leads to your position that negates mine. Okay, Agen, do this very simply for me.
I will, because you basically explain how Celestine could have an interpretation, but it has nothing to do with like how I interpret the council. I'm not merely trying to speak of Celestine's interpretation. I'm trying to showcase Celestine infallibly stands. Not only did he give Cyril his own authority, but on top of it, he fully accepted the entire council, all of its minutes, all of its sessions. And in those minutes and sessions, we have a contradiction between Leo. So that's why I don't accept your reduction.
No, you didn't even prove anything. Let's do this very simply, Agen. Well, one sec, because you like to whine about how everyone like speaks over you. I let you speak, relax. According to you, supposedly a denial of my position is going to entail your position, meaning that my position somehow is a negation to what you're saying. So can you tell everyone how your position, and be very concise with what you say, because no one cares about your like explanation, okay? This is like the fine tunings of what you keep like talking about. We're talking about if it's reduced, a pope, supposedly infallible, rejecting another infallible document prior to him, then how does your denial of that lead to your position or entail to the position, and how are they mutually opposed to each other? Go ahead.
Because it's not merely a pope infallibly accepting a document. As I
Oh
explained.
my god.
It's a pope infallibly accepting the entire
I
authority
didn't
of the Synod
say
and
that.
all of,
I didn't
you
say
did
that. I
say
said...
you did say pope denying a document. That's what you said.
Exactly, and that's
Okay,
relating.
so
It's a
that's what you
transitive.
said.
It's a transitive application. The Pope denies a Pope which accepted and ratified a council. Therefore, you say that a Pope denied an infallible council.
But he ratified everything about the council, which then
I'm not
But
making a qualification.
The reason your reduction doesn't work is because you tried to do it a bit earlier in the discussion, where you're saying, how do you know Celestine didn't interpret Ephesus this way? Because it's not merely just Celestine accepting it under his own ramifications. He gave that synod authority. That's the difference between your reduction and my clarification. It's not merely his interpretation. It's him entirely ratifying it qua its own authority. He said that when Cyril is making these decisions, he's given him his own authority for Cyril to make those decisions. So it ultimately has to do with how the bishops of Ephesus thought, and it's not merely Pope against Pope. Pope against Pope is a part of it, but it's Pope ratifying the entire ecumenical synod.
Okay, again. So you just explained the position again that I laid out, without, with the complete failure of showing how denial of my position and its entailment is your position, because it's the exact same thing. Now, there's two problems with this position, since we're going to move forwards, because, you keep repeating yourself and literally accepting what I said under my reduction. You did, but anyways.
I just told you I don't accept your reduction.
No, I didn't even put any qualification around it when I asked you. But anyway.
You did at the very beginning. You said, "How do you know?"
Okay. I'm talking about now. Under no qualification, I just told you, is the reduction valid?
On your reduction? Are you saying your reduction is invalid? Yeah, your
I
reduction
said under no. Okay. I'll repeat myself a third time. Under no reduction, Agen. Under no qualification for the reduction is what I said. Correct?
Huh? What are you saying right now? You didn't finish your sentence.
What I said. So obviously the things that I said prior, because it's past tense.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You just said under your
okay.
reduction,
so when I said
that
denotes past tense. I did finish my sentence. I said under my reduction, without any qualification, is what I said correct.
Your reduction was that it's merely a pope disagreeing with a pope. And I disagree with that reduction.
Oh my god. Agen. I said it, everyone can hear. I'm pretty sure, Bonaventure is clipping, so you don't have to lie. I said
I'm not lying.
That
you tried to reduce it to pope against pope at the very beginning of the convo.
Which I explicitly said is transitive, which results in the pope denying a council.
Again, but is it merely the pope just accepting it qua himself, or is he giving that thing its own autonomous authority?
Agen, I'm not making any qualification yet. I said, is my reduction valid without any qualification?
Your reduction can go either way. It could be between a pope's
interpretation. I said without any qualification.
Well, it can go either. What do you mean without any qualification? Whenever you're going to employ any type of sentence, it's going to have an intended telos of meaning. So again, when you're saying under my reduction with no qualification, you're imposing some sort of clarification that I have to figure out here. Are you talking about the Pope's interpretation of the council, and that's what's being opposed? Or merely the Pope giving full authority to the Synod under its own bishops, under its own presiders to
without
make any statements?
Okay, can I speak? Okay, without any qualification, it's just going to state that merely at its base and foundation level, regardless of whether it's that he rejected some sort of interpretation, or he rejected an entire council. I'm just saying either way, if that is possible, then it's going to be the case that the ontological reduction without any qualification is going to be correct. And then with the qualification, you can deny or not.
But you gave your qualification at the very beginning of the discussion.
And we'll get into it. I'll explain the two problems with this argument, then we'll get into it.
You already made your reduction was, how do you know, you put it in the form of a question. How do you know that Celestine's interpretation of Cyril is the contrary?
I can elaborate. Can you just accept the reduction?
But I thought you said you're not going to elaborate. So again, The reduction you gave me prior.
No, what?
very
I
beginning of the
said
discussion.
accept it, and then what comes posterior to it is my elaboration.
Your reduction was already explained at the very beginning of the conversation. Your reduction was very simply put.
And I just told you.
If it's
Are
if
you
it's
going
Pope
to?
against
Oh
Pope,
my
if it's
God.
Pope against Pope, how do you know that Celestine is contrary to Leo? But I'm explaining that reduction in that form of interpretation is incorrect. So you can't just merely reduce and say without any interpretation, because you're very clearly imposing an interpretation and trying to get me to subscribe to it.
I didn't impose anything actually out
You
with the
did.
qualification,
It
but
was in
we're
the
just
form
going
of
to
a question.
continue because I'm not going to waste my time arguing about this because, like, you know this anyway. Anyways, I'm not going to like bother wasting my time. Right? So there's two like major flaws with this argument. Firstly, there's like actually wait, I'll point out three. Firstly, there's going to be problematic notions where prior to even Ephesus, fathers make the statement that nothing, insofar as the person who succeeds Peter, is going to be interfered with any sort of error. So that's like the first problem that you have.
That's why it's an internal critique. That's why I'm showing the.
Okay, so are you
that
granting
Peter
this?
did make a mistake.
Are you granting this?
I'm showcasing that the successor of Peter did make a mistake.
Okay, but do you do realize with an internal critique then you have to grant those statements? Do you grant those?
Again, whether or not I grant
You know,
them or not,
Agen, you know you're going to get caught out now. If it's an internal
on.
critique, do you grant those that the
hold
Pope
on.
can be infallible?
Hold on. I made the very first critique that you have a patriarch contradicting an ecumenical council.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I understand.
What fathers say prior is irrelevant because you still have this issue to deal with. So how do you deal with
Okay,
it?
that's fine. Agen, that's fine. Under an internal critique, do you agree that you have to accept or grant the position and then attack it?
But what position? Like the
Dude,
position
agree,
fathers,
Agen, yes or no? Agen,
the
it's
position
so
that
simple,
fathers
yes or
made
no?
papal claims is irrelevant to the discussion. Why would I say yes or no? Why would I agree?
Because that's the point of an internal critique.
But the discussion is about Leo and his contradiction to Ephesus.
Okay,
These
so
random
then is it an internal critique or not?
Random fathers have nothing to do with this.
That's fine. Is it an internal critique or not?
I'm critiquing Leo's mistake of contradicting Ephesus.
Just answer the question. Is it an internal critique or not?
I'm saying this is a historical fact.
Yes or no, Agen, is it an internal critique or not?
I'm saying it's a historical fact.
Agen, yes or no, is it an internal critique or not?
I'm going to give you the same answer. It's a historical fact. Leo contradicts Ephesus.
Okay. I'll just explain why Agen made a huge blunder. So obviously interpretations are going to be of a probabilistic case. Now, if Agen is granting an internal critique, that means he's supposing the position to be true. Therefore, if he supposes the position to be true, that one is to be infallible, whoever is seated, we can make a case, even if it's so unlikely.